Oops. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Technical glitch. Welcome everybody to another episode of UFO Man Live. Tonight we're all green screening, so we've stepped up our game. We want to welcome you to another episode, and first we're going to start with some instructions. I can't talk tonight for some reason. We're going to start with some introductions, starting with Thomas.
Oh, wow. Good evening, everybody. I'm Thomas Fessler. I'm a ufologist and ancient alien theorist advocating disclosure. I'm a practicing in remote viewing on non-local consciousness and vibratory spirituality. Thank you for having me here, Tim.
More than welcome, Thomas. Tommy Highway.
Folks, I'm Tommy Highway. I'm a ufologist. I'm an author. I'm a former government employee. I'm a network engineer. I'm here to just like you folks, I'm here for the truth. I'm here for disclosure. And I think that we have some great tools available here on this channel to do that. Tim, my brother, as always, thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Tonight, we're going to start with the UFO Man video review, the UFO video review. So here we go. Okay, there's no sound of these videos, so we can make an assessment. This one's really difficult to see. I had to increase the contrast and the brightness for people to take a look at it. It looks kind of crystalline in nature to me, but I don't know. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? It does sort of look translucent in a way. That could be the camera messing with it, maybe. I don't know. That's definitely something that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I can't really stop it because if I stop it, it doesn't show the whole image. See?
Well, that gives you kind of something. It's almost square in shape or something to that extent. But yeah, it's translucent, almost as if it's semi-invisible. So it's just really bad. You know, it's not much.
There's a large picture of it right there. Different filter.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's a street light.
No, there's the horizontal bar that's out there.
I know. Wow. Look at him.
That'd be a saucer.
Rotational lights.
Yeah. Or rotational object.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a saucer. It looks like it has rotation, but then again, it also just looks like the lights are cycling back and forth. Now there it disappears. Take a look at that. I slowed it down so you can take a better look at it. What got me is nobody on the ground is really looking up. Other than the person filming it.
So no one else is really paying attention to it or can see it.
Now, in the video itself, where there was volume, cars were honking at it. As you see, it just fades out.
If that's a mountain, it's a pretty tall one.
No, ain't no mountain.
I don't think so either.
Oh. This one's weird. I don't know what this is.
Whatever
now,
it is,
when you see it closer, it looks like two inverted triangles or kind of like an hourglass shape.
Yeah. Yes, Piscean Soul, I agree that humans never look up, but they have been looking up more lately. I just want to say welcome to Amanda B, Turnips Pickled, Piscean Soul, of course, Tommy Highway, thanks for being here. Zolfa, Amanda B, Red Panda, John Bruno, Renee is here, I hope, still. Great to see her here. Dylan, Stacy, The Lone Rider. Wow, we've got a lot of people. Bob Gray's here. He's asking, is it June 1st yet? So
Where's
nope,
Bobby?
It's not June 1st. Sorry about that.
Where's Bobby at tonight? I
Yeah,
don't know
Bobby's
what that
not
I don't know what that is, other than to say that it's something that's absolutely unnatural. It's moving. I mean, if you watch how the camera's moving, it's moving. I mean, it's moving.
Look at the shape. It's a weird shape.
Mm-hmm. Almost like a Diablo or something. I mean, I can't. A balloon or something like that would not be moving that fast. I cannot imagine that happening.
It's like an hourglass shape, kind of, where it's flat on the top and bottom, where you've got those two, yeah, it's interesting.
Right there is a close-up.
And it's not bobbing at all like it would be a balloon or anything to that extent. There's no flapping. No,
looks like a deliberate course.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's this, down in Mexico? Somewhere down in South America?
Puebla, Mexico. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, James.
UFOs over Lima, Peru at 3 a.m. in the morning. Now, it doesn't seem like much at first, but watch. They were almost zoomed in too close.
Yeah. When they're trying to focus in on it, it's focusing the object in the foreground, then it just...
Mm-hmm.
But it looks a lot like that one that we just watched.
There again.
Over India.
Thomas and I have mentioned this before. Nothing like a good old-fashioned optical zoom lens and 35 millimeter film.
Yeah, but it's almost okay. We're looking at it from a distance. It's above us, so we're kind of seeing the bottom illumination of it. So from that aspect, we're seeing two lights in front, kind of one that's closest to us because it's the biggest, and then you've got the other light there, a second one, and a third one. This could be just a V formation. They call it a tactical V formation of UFOs. Oh, that's a...
Now let's go back a second. I'm going to go to where that first image is. That one. That looks like 4 lights.
Or it could be an optical effect of mirroring that's going on from the objects. We know there's at least one there. It could be 2, or it could be 4. So Zilpha just said that last glass UFO one reminds me of the consistent description of Yahweh's ship in the Bible. Always crystal or glass or terrible ice. Yes, interesting.
Very much so.
Yeah. Renee Cruz is saying it's 75 days, 9 hours, 43 minutes, 55 seconds. It's till 180 days. That, it's at least 3. We can say that.
Yeah.
Okay, this was filmed by a father and a son as they were driving down the highway. And at first they thought it might be a plane, but the lights merge into one object.
Yeah,
that's not an unusual aircraft an airplane. Look at the lights on that. You don't have all the telltale signs at all. Oh. That's like a strip of something, like a larger object, maybe.
It's like a giant cigar.
Yeah,
or it's either a cigar or it's a saucer.
Or a saucer. Saucer, yeah.
Yeah, because you can see it's kind of bulging there in the top and bottom a bit.
See, Bob Lazar mentioned that there's some sort of a St. Elmo's fire effect on the bottom of these things as they power up, using their energy source or whatever.
Yeah, and apparently based on what the ship is doing, it's certain times they actually have to go ahead and drop their warp bubble around them so they can go ahead and do things in local space. Otherwise, stuff is blocked, I guess. Yeah, that's the energy field just...
Well, that's a definite maybe. That's definitely something that should not be in the sky. And no aircraft that I'm aware of is lit up like that.
No.
Right, exactly. You don't think the camera could be obliterating the image with the light?
Look at all the rest of the lights.
No.
They all look fairly normal.
Not even close.
Just a reminder, guys, and I discovered this myself on a recent trip to Roswell. I went through one of the exhibits, and it was very dark. And I went through there with a really nice Canon camera, and I went through with my cell phone. My cell phone did a better job in low light. So whatever cell phone you're rocking in your pocket, go watch the video and learn how to use it. And you can capture moments like this, okay?
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Here we go. This is filmed with an infrared camera over Canada.
There it is. Just a second one popped up. Well,
Then it flew back down by those trees.
oh, wow. Just plopped down there really quick. Yep.
Wow.
That. He's got the zoom on there. It's probably.
Now he'll show you that there's nothing else in the sky around him.
Yep. Daytime. That is why right here I hold in my hands a set of 4 X-ray IR filters that I can put on my camera.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And luckily it has night mode, which with those filters in the daytime, you can get some crazy images. But yeah, that was my intent because I knew there was stuff up there that we just weren't seeing.
Just out of the visual spectrum.
Yep. They can't hide completely if you don't look.
I love this one. I just love this. I mean, we got movement, we've got infrared imagery, and look at that. It's a solid image, clearly.
It's a disc. There you go.
Clearly.
Or could be because of the, oh, hey, Julie's here. Cool. Welcome. Dang. Could be because of the warp field that's got that in the visual spectrum, we can't see through it, but in IR we can.
Right.
Turnips Pickle had a good question. Did it show up without a IR?
They said it was cloaked. They couldn't see it. No, it did not show up without the IR.
Hey, Stargate Traveler, welcome.
Non-visible to the human eye, but yet it's obviously emitting a heat signature of some sort.
Yeah.
This one I question, okay? This is one of the videos we put on our channel that we tend to have debunked.
Oh.
Thomas calls it the holy hand grenade.
Yes.
Some people have suggested it's some type of platform technology. I personally think it's a fake or false UFO video, but
I'd like to be able to stop it just as it's going underneath that light post, the very first part of the video. Let's take a look at that.
That's a part where I've watched it where it's coming on an angle and then it like comes out. Its movement is kind of.
I'll find it.
Different.
Right there.
No, back further.
When it goes underneath the very first stop,
light or whatever.
Right. So now tell it to play. Hit your space. Oh, you had it.
That's fine.
Oh, I get it. It'll go right into it right now.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
Yeah.
Come on, play. Here we go.
Snoopy SN 100 says, looks like the flying platform from the 1960s.
We missed it right off the bat. I just like to see. My thing is when it goes behind something, and if it's CGI or whatever, usually you can see like a little bit of a wobble or something. Here we go. A little bit further.
It's not wobble. It's just a trajectory change. Trajectory change is when it's going underneath it, where you're seeing it going out one particular angle, and then it passes behind it. It actually comes out at a different angle.
I had one comment from Bobby Broadway when he was on this video on the channel stating that whoever did this, if it was CGI, should be hired by Hollywood because they did a very good job.
Yeah, and I responded to that saying, yeah, this came out in Southern California where there were a lot of people who are in that industry that could easily do this with the technology and tools they have.
That's why we put debunked on this video, question mark.
Is it too good to be true?
We're not really sure if it's real. I tend to think it is not. But on UFO Man, we like to show debunked videos as well as credible ones, so you can see the difference.
And this is one that we can sort of leave up to the audience to sort of make up your own mind on, because we're not sure ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, thanks, Amanda B. I can't get the song out of my head now.
Okay, these are 3 pyramid UFOs filmed near San Diego, California by the USS Russell in July of 2019. It is a UAPTF release / Pentagon release. Here we go. Now that's a night vision camera.
Looking through a porthole, is it?
It's looking through like a telescope.
Yeah. And this is
And
like
you
interacting.
you can see 3 of them. There
Yeah.
isn't just one. One just passes the other one.
Isn't there an F-15 interacting with this as well?
No, there are spheres that are noticed in the actual footage. If there is an F-15, I didn't see it in this footage.
What I've been hearing from military personnel and just offhanded comments and things that basically if they're triangles, they're ours. If they're not triangles, they're somebody else's. But who knows?
Right.
We tend to like the triangular shape in the military. I mean, TRB, roughly a triangle. I mean, there have been other secret aircraft at triangles,
but there's triangles that aren't ours as well.
That could very well be.
Now watch this other one cross in front of it. It'll go right up in front of it, right there. See it?
Yep. There's 2 of them playing together.
Now here are the images. I'm going to stop it right there. You could actually see a different triangle here and here. Okay. And then if I go to the next one, you can see a triangle here, here, and there. So there are 3 of them. And this was recently released on Twitter by Jeremy Corbell.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this was taking place right over a naval destroyer.
Right. So that's the end of our UFO video review for this week. We try to find credible videos so that we can put them out there, because a lot of people are filming lights in the sky, like a dot. And I could show those for hours, but we've decided not to do that, because how can you tell what it is? We'd like to show some structure or some different types of shapes and sizes.
Something with more substance.
Right, something with more substance, exactly. So, okay, we're moving on. Thomas, take it away.
Oh, already. Cool. Give me 1 second here to jump over and we'll get going on this. There's been a lot of stuff going on this week over in the Twitter sphere, as I like to call it. Let me close this noise down here, and I'm going to go ahead and share up and bring up my screen here. And we're just going to have a great conversation between everyone here in the chat room and on the UFO Man team. So let's get going. Start off with the first thing that happened this week. Earlier this week, we had it where they've been talking about the drone swarms that have been around Navy ships for a period of time. They're not quite sure if they're Tic Tacs or, again, if they are actually drones. Right now, it's kind of going back and forth. But as far as some of the different news that's been coming along, in addition to this article, there's been discussion on that pointing more towards being drones than actually being Tic Tacs. So this is just where that level of disinformation that we've got going with our government, where they're not being honest and they're hiding what's going on, always say for the matter of national security, but it's always, not that truthful. What do you think, Tim?
I've actually seen footage of drone swarms that are easily identifiable that the U.S. Navy employs in their arsenal. And I do have a video clip that I can show. If you want me to segue to that, I will do that right now.
Yeah, why not? We can go back
Okay,
and forth.
because it insinuates that there might be a Department of Defense cover-up where they're downplaying the drones or the UAPs that were supposedly seen above the USS Kidd,
Right.
as drones, rather than coming out and saying, yes, we saw a bunch of Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
Because what's interesting is that a lot of the Tic Tacs that flew back in 2004 that they captured on film, these drones that were over the USS Kidd were also flying in those very exact same formations. So
Right.
here is okay, I got to take you down, Thomas, and add to stream.
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, as far as the military is concerned, we're very familiar with everyone else's drone technology.
Yeah.
They've seen it all. They know what the radar signature is. All of that. And for something to actually swarm, I mean, literally swarm the ship, and they can't identify it. That's very suspect in and of itself. You ask me. I think that's pretty telltale, actually.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let me bring up this clip again.
Great point, Tommy. Cool.
Okay, here we go.
On the website, The Drive cited ship logs saying that several drones hovered over those Navy destroyers back in 2019.
Yeah, it's a pretty shocking report detailing several nights of confusion aboard several Navy warships off the coast of Los Angeles that may have been followed by this swarm of unidentified aerial vehicles or mysterious drones. And the kicker here is that some of those drones may have been flying in a similar pattern as a well-documented UFO encounter back in 2004 between Navy fighter pilots and something they still can't explain.
Yeah.
See, those little drones, though, they're not over the open ocean flying around.
Yeah. But they found technology that could potentially be strong enough and big enough and have fuel to go long enough to go ahead and do what they were doing. So they don't count it out. We're not sure where it could be, but it's, okay. It's disinformation from the government. Well, Susan Go is the one who basically is holding everybody quiet. No one's allowed to say anything. No one's allowed to make statements. Any kind of thing has to be a coordinated release for all FOIAs. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of you just have to take it with a grain of salt, the information that we get, and know there could be an organized campaign within different areas to prevent the truth from really getting out.
Well, let me ask a question that to me is a sort of an obvious one. When it comes to drones swarming any kind of the military aircraft, our military kills the crap out of that drone. It doesn't play around.
Right.
Right now, we've got all the phalanx and everything else on board. Very easy to track these things. Very easy to usually bring them down because they're not that fast at the end of the day. They certainly cannot run a 20 millimeter cannon shell. No way in hell. So the fact that we didn't open up and obliterate these things, because when we do occasionally, like Iran will send a drone over and then our ships will hit that drone, kill it. We'll hear that on the news.
Then why didn't we take out any of those drones that were doing an incursion in our airspace last year? Was it last year or the year before? Last year, right?
I don't know why they didn't respond to that. But
there was all those giant drones that were out there trying. They were searching for something.
Okay, I have a comment though. they mentioned in the article that they were drone swarms. Drone swarms are what I just showed you on that video clip. That's what a drone swarm is that the U.S. Navy has in its arsenal. Now, if you're talking about larger vehicles and they were swarming the warships, and still the U.S. Navy officers and personnel could not identify them, to me, that tells me that it was something other than drones, because they would know right away what a drone looks like, whether it be ours or from a foreign adversary.
Yeah.
So it most likely was something other than drones, even if it was hypersonic drones that we're working on, supposedly, according to news reports, and the Russians are working on as well. The thing is, even if they were hypersonic drones and part of our arsenal, they would still be identifiable.
And they still have to exist within the laws of terrestrial physics.
But there were some hypersonic drones that were just on show at some military show in Singapore. I think it was like on the 4th of this month. So it's kind of, the technology is out there, but it's just a matter of, I guess they have an idea of who it could be if it is someone, but if not, Tic Tacs, are they single object fighters, or are those drones themselves alien drones?
I'm thinking they were probably alien drones, but then, we just don't have the evidence right now either way.
They appear to be able to make incredibly rapid movements that defy the laws of terrestrial physics, and that they're not breaking the sound barrier every time they move at that speed. Boom, 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 boom. They should be doing that, and they're not.
Yep.
Right. And that's where Michio Kaku was on a news report recently with Maria Bartiromo, and she asked him point blank, what about drones that do not have a sonic boom, just like Tommy said? And Michio came out and said, well, that would be a sign of a civilization that is so far advanced it exceeds our own.
Yeah, well, we've known this since 2018 when the stuff on the Nimitz came out. And at that point in time, they went and said that they dropped from about 60,000 feet to 10 feet over the water in a fraction of a second, which clocked them about 13,500 miles per second.
Yeah.
Crazy what the hell they did. Or is it per hour? Either way, it was like crazy fast, much faster than anything we have that could even do it. And they said at that time, it didn't crack the sound barrier. So at least right now, we've got some people who potentially are talking about older things, but at least now they're coming around and they're starting to know what we've known for many years.
Well, I mean, if you look at it like this, okay, we understand that if we put an occupant, a human being, in a craft or a capsule or whatever, and we propelled it that fast, okay, we understand that person is basically pizza inside there. Okay, they're done.
Right.
All right, now, okay. That being said, the craft itself, with the materials that we have available at this level of our technology on our planet, with the minerals and everything that we have available, even if we were to propel a craft itself that fast, what would happen to the craft? It would be smashed. I mean, you're talking about damage to, we can't break planetary physics with our current materials like that.
That's why
much less an occupant.
The stuff inside the bubble isn't even moving. It's the bubble that's moving. But the problem is when the bubble's going 13,000 miles an hour and the bubble disappears, that craft is going to be subjected to 13,500 miles an hour of force and go boom. Like a beer can. Yeah. Or they'll explode or whatever it is because that much force just hitting it. Yeah.
We do have, allegedly, according to that interview between Maria Bartiromo and Michio Kaku, I heard them say that we have hypersonic drones that travel between Mach 5 and Mach 20. 20 being 20 times the speed of sound.
But that's in a straight line.
Yes. Although I've also heard that they can maneuver in space, they can maneuver in our atmosphere at that speed. Okay. So somehow they're generating some type of field to protect the pilots.
But that's a
Unless-
drone.
unless
It's
they're
not a flying
unmanned.
craft. Yeah.
Unless they're unmanned.
Yeah, if it's a drone, it's unmanned.
It would have to be.
Right. So we do have them. So
Yeah, but we can go fast, but we can't go like this and go like this and up like this and everything else. And that's kind of what they're seeing these things are doing. It's very, rigid, analytic, whatever it is, vectoring towards something. It's not like it's floating or they're kind of banking or something.
right, they're disjointed. They're
Yeah.
following their warp bubble on the side of the craft that the warp bubble exists.
Yeah, so they can go, and if they've got the warp bubble around the craft, they can go do a whole bunch of crazy things that are just beyond any of our ability with propulsion-based systems.
Physics no longer
Right.
apply. Apparently, inside of this bubble, this gravity well, or whatever the hell you want to call it, the physics do not apply there.
Yeah.
So they're able to
Right.
Yeah.
you can do whatever.
Yeah.
That's why they can go underwater and the whole 9 yards, because again, physics not an issue for them.
Yeah, we have no crafts that can hit the freaking surface of water and barely slow down and just keep on going.
Nope.
Because they're pushing the water around them, and it's like
It'd be it's like hitting a wall.
it's like it's a gravitational field that goes around it, and the matter just it pushes through it.
It blends the environment or something crazy. It's wild.
It bends time.
Mhm.
It bends gravity.
Yeah. And it's not even part of our time at some
Yeah.
points. That's why people have missing time.
Because once you're in the bubble, they can do whatever they want, and then when they turn it back, whatever it is, it's just a matter of who knows how the hell it works. We'll figure out eventually,
Right. Okay, Thomas, I'm going to bring you full screen again so you
Alright.
can continue.
Cool. All right. The next thing that popped up in Twitter, I'm sure is a lot of us who have all seen it, is that George Knapp, actually Jeremy Corbell, went and tweeted about the new UFOs that were released that were actually all taken by a pilot and an F-18, I believe. That all happened right after the Batman logo that we saw before. That was a triangle pyramid that came out from in front of an aircraft carrier and lifted up into the air and shot up. And there were F-18s in the area that were going and basically, doing maneuvers around the area, and they were able to go ahead and see a number of more UFOs. Now, let's go ahead and take a closer look at them. We've got one here. This one, they're kind of saying it looks like a silver flying Twinkie. Kind of, it's got that kind of a shape at the front that kind of goes towards it, and there's some other structures going on the side, but that may not be exactly what it is, and we'll cover that in a second. Next, they've got well, that was it way out there. This one is also interesting. It's kind of, we're seeing it as kind of like this white kind of semi-translucent something, which is indicative of their gravitational field going and doing a lensing effect. So what you're seeing is the light from the other side passing through and kind of not really seeing what's behind it. Now, following the link from there basically brought us across to Mystery Wire, where they had the details on it. And I basically, really encourage people, go check out their site. George Knapp is an unbelievable investigator, and he has been unbelievably to ufology and what he's been doing. So if we take a look at it, the details, this all this happened on the eastern coast of the United States. The photographs were actually taken on March 4th, 2019, and haven't been made public until now. The photos were taken by a navigation person in the back of the FA-18. It was the the weapons systems officer who's seated behind this pilot, used his iPhone. It was an iPhone 8 to capture the images of 3 different objects he encountered in the same airspace. And this goes back to what Tommy just said a second ago. You've got a phone. We've all got one. We've got old ones. We've got new ones. Just get used to it. Getting used to bringing it out, flicking it out, pointing at something and taking that picture, or getting into video mode and being able to, zoom into it and everything. So, We've got those two, a close-up of those. We've got this is the triangular shape that we all thought was the Batman shield. So this one is the ship that was pretty large, I guess they said, that basically
rose out of the ocean.
Thanks, Tim. Rose out of the ocean right in front of an aircraft carrier that these FA-18s are basically part of. I can go ahead and bring up, and this is the same one we've seen before, but it's that same kind of you know what it is? If it's a triangular shape. So if you take the outline of the triangle, right? And then you use this is a side going back. This is another side going back. So it's almost like there's some depth to it, but the overall look of how it is kind of, lost a bit.
It's also been ruled out as a Batman balloon.
Absolutely. Now, here's the one they're saying kind of looks like a blimp, but I can kind of get my point across. Now, remember, you're looking at this. It's off in the distance, but it's up, right? So when we're looking up at it, we're seeing the bottom of whatever is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, this kind of shape that you're seeing here that could be triangular or something else, that's really the bottom of the craft, potentially. And then you've got these two parallel dark marks that are something to deal with the under structures, and then you've got this other piece that kind of wraps around. So I've made a number of video games throughout the years, and where's that at? Just looking at it here, where's that at? Is it that one? A bit closer. That's not it. Here we go. This is a tweet I was going back and forth with Narcap on. This is kind of the shape that I'm seeing, where you've got either a triangle kind of a shape, or you've got something that's more of a, diamond or square kind of a shape versus just a flying Twinkie with wings. It's when you only have, now here's the thing, we've only got 20 pixels of detail from side to side. So when we're taking a look at it, you just have to remember there's only so many things that you can go ahead and show with 20 pixels. All right. So in addition, going later into the week, actually, I think Renee asked about this. What about the Jeremy Corbell tweet where he said the U.S. Navy photographed and filmed pyramid-shaped UFOs and spherical advanced transmedium vehicles? Here's that footage. So I think that's one of the things we kind of missed when we were talking about it before, Tim.
We showed that in that video.
But we didn't say they were transmedium vehicles, meaning they had orbs coming up out of the water, and these things coming out of the water, going into the air, and then going into space.
Right.
So another great footage. Jeremy is a great person to follow on Twitter. He has a lot of information, everything. And earlier this week, he said, get ready. We're going to have something big. And boy, do we have something big on that. Now, here's on that particular piece that we were just looking at. Let me zoom in on this. And I don't have my glasses, so I can't see. So the Navy images showing transmedium sphere travel from the air to underwater. So they were going up, and then they were going down into the water. At the same time, they had the triangles and stuff going on with the event. So it's kind of, I would say it's pretty freaking cool. What do you think, Tommy?
Can't hear you, Tommy.
Oh, here we go. Something happened there.
Sorry
about that. Well, to me, it sounds like everything's related. It certainly sounds like an event that's you got several different things going on there. You got military corroborating it, essentially. Yeah. My goodness. I mean, what more do you want from a sighting? I guess.
Right. Exactly. So at least we're getting more definite, more feedback that this stuff is real and things are going on. Now, another thing I did on Twitter is rather than just put out a survey and let's see what people are going to do anonymously, I tried to stir up a rat's nest or a hornet's nest on this one to talk about some real, taking a deep look at what we're dealing with here with the UFO phenomenon. Everyone wants to believe everything is all love and light and we're, aliens are great, aliens are good. They couldn't do anything bad. And so, I mean, it sounds like they're talking about the second coming of Christ almost, and the way they're looking at it.
Yeah.
And they say they're friends, they don't do anything bad and stuff. But the question I asked was, are UFOs, UAPs, aliens our friends, or are they a threat to humanity? Well, we want to think little gray brother is our friend. Many who have encountered them are assaulted and left with a difficult life of terror.
Sure.
Does that sound like a friend to you?
You
What
know,
do you think? Go, Tommy.
I'm sorry. Just if you ever seen the movie Independence Day, okay, and the aliens have arrived on the planet, and some people are freaking out, some people are embracing them, and you see all these people that go up on the top of a building with signs and all that, welcoming the aliens. Then they get wiped out. I mean, you're walking up to something you've never seen before, and you're trying to relate it to anything that you've ever known in your life, and you can't do that. You have no idea what their agenda is, what their purpose is, what their ideas about us are. And I agree with you, Thomas. I mean, to think that these people are these races are absolutely benevolent and they're here for our own good and all that, I think is a pretty big leap of faith.
Absolutely. Great point. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I got to tell you, my viewpoint is this. Like I've said in many other live streams, I believe there's a duality in the universe. I do not believe that every alien race visiting our planet is benevolent. Whether they have an agenda or not, I can't really say. I would say that some are hostile, some are aggressive in nature, some are indifferent. They treat us like science specimens, do experimentation, kind of like we're a lab rat. Okay, they take without asking. But there are also species that have been documented that are benevolent, that are here to watch, to assist, to help out. So I believe there's both sides. What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, I think there's many different ways we could look at it. Let's see what, one of the people on Twitter here said, no, that doesn't sound like a friend, but they like us for to think who sorry about that. But they like for us to think that they are. What does that suggest? That they are highly deceptive, manipulative? Could that explain in part why even after many decades of sightings and witness reports, people still don't get it that they're real? Here's another person. When humans tranquilize an ape for study and put him back in the wilderness, checking on him periodically or to change batteries in his tracking collar for his entire natural life, do we care about his feelings or if he perceives us as friends? Clinical apathy. So some people are kind of looking at it like, yeah, it's there, it can happen. Other people are just like kind of, going back and forth. And I would say that from a lot of the people who we've heard from in here, especially NARCAP. Remember, Ted Rowe, he was here last week. Ted responded and said, they can explain themselves and don't. You can make excuses for their behavior, explore ideas of peace, etc., but you can't get them to stop. They don't ask because they can take. And X209, who was X2X109, who was here last week, said, and they will take it all. Appreciate that for tweeting. Another person said, UFO and aliens, UAP. Sorry, but you don't seem to understand the difference between humanity and species with many thousands or even millions of years more evolved. Our morals and our science are 300 years old. Some species that have always been there are gods. So it's a lot of controversy, but I encourage everyone join the conversation because we have to start looking at this seriously. We have to take a look at the whole picture. What are all the possibilities? Go ahead, Tommy.
I'm sorry, if I may. Just remember, folks, that at one point fire was magic.
Right.
Fire was considered magic at one point. And to Thomas's point, I'm sorry to interrupt there, Thomas, but to Thomas's point, we are the babes in the woods here compared to everybody else. I mean, if you can get here, you're obviously probably thousands of years ahead of us technologically. So socially, I mean, come on. Who knows what they would be like? Who knows if they would even understand our social structure? Who knows if they're a hive mind? Who knows? But I think that a lot of people, to the big picture here, the big point is a lot of people are just making some pretty blanket assumptions that just because they're intelligent, they're benevolent. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
One thing I have to say, and I'm going to add this, one of the people in the chat said, how come we only think they come from space? They may not come from space.
Well,
they may come from the planet here already. They may already come from a different dimension. I know scientists are discovering new dimensions every day. Whether they can travel into a different dimension, I think that's unknown at this point. But they are looking into that.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are many different origins for what we're seeing.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet a huge stack of singles that they are on Earth. They have significant civilization, significant bases at the bottoms of our oceans or our freshwater lakes that we have. They've been here for a long time. They have a significant force, and they're just, they're here, and there's nothing we can do because they've probably been here longer than us in the first place. So are they originally from the planet? We don't know. But it sounds like these guys were from Zeta Reticuli, and that's what they were telling us. So it's just a matter of maybe they were from there. But seeing the number of their ships that come out of the water on a regular basis and the size and mass of these things, you have to figure they have to have a sizable population on this freaking planet.
And as we said before, where's the best place to hide something from mankind? Hide it where they cannot go. And the deepest depths of the ocean, we have a real problem getting there. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just don't travel there, routinely.
And when the giant tidal waves every so often come and wipe the surface clean, they're safe at the bottom of the ocean. Gee, you wonder why they're there.
Probably didn't even know what happened.
That's not the only place they're hiding, though. And Thomas and I talked about this before the live stream. They're hiding in volcanoes. They're seen exiting and entering volcanoes when they're erupting. So think about that. We can't even get close to an erupting volcano, but they can travel through hot lava.
Well, yeah,
so,
that could say they could also travel through the sun then too. Because that's basically, and if they have something that creates a gravitational warp field that they just move through that particular space, it sounds like it's molten up for them to get through. So who knows where the hell they're going? They must have something big down there.
Possibilities are endless.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, I've heard stories from people that I've talked to over the years talking about orb UFOs actually going straight into solid rock. Or going into the ground and disappearing.
Yeah.
So obviously, transmedium travel also encompasses Earth, not just water, atmosphere, and space.
Right. I mean, if they have to set up a base, if they're setting up an operations center and different things that they're going out of, we know that they're coming and going out of our oceans on a regular basis. I've got some photographs we'll take a look in a bit that are freaking amazing out of Lake Erie, I think. So Renee Cruz had asked, where's that at again? I almost lost it. Oceans and lakes, extraterrestrials, aliens, Thomas, really sounds feasible, but about underground, there's probably giant things in mountains. It's been reported that Ingo Swann, I believe, when he was going and doing remote viewing for the CIA, they told him to go ahead and find alien bases on the planet. And he came up with one in Alaska, one in Zimbabwe, and there's two other ones besides that. I don't remember it exactly right now. But for the most part, substantial locations.
Sorry, Tommy, go ahead.
We can triangulate where these things are coming out of the ocean at. I mean, there have been enough sightings at this point by military, not just our military, but other militaries on the planet, even civilian vessels out there, sailboats and stuff. We can triangulate where these are coming from. So it should be fairly I wouldn't say routine, but rudimentary, let's say, to try to figure out and triangulate where they're actually coming from directly.
Right. The one thing I want to say is we're interviewing somebody on Sunday night, a special live stream on our channel, who will speak on several different things in regards to alien races here on Earth, and one of them being an alien species that is so large, living underground, that it exceeds our own population. So stay tuned for that on Sunday night, and you'll find out a little more about that.
And who were we interviewing, Tim?
We are interviewing Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot.
Absolutely.
Big interview, guys. You're going to love it.
Yes.
So
go ahead, Thomas.
Awesome. Alexa, stop. Sorry. Hopefully everyone's Alexa stop now. So let's go on to the next one. One of the last comments I had in here I just want to cover is let's just say whatever is here. They're not just here to hang out and be friends with the squirrels, throwing them peanuts to gain trust. Their actions are covert, and clearly they keep their distance from the locals unless they are under their power and control on their terms. So moving on further in the week, let's go on for a little bit further. This is a tweet from NARCAP, just to go ahead and reinforce this. I mean, Tim and Tommy, I'm sure, are more than familiar with this, but we just want to know that NARCAP had said when the USAF was founded in September 1947, among its first priorities was to acquire intelligence about flying discs. You got to wonder if that was one of the same things given to the Space Force again when they got going.
Oh, I'm sure they've all been briefed on it, the whole deal. I mean, they would have to be. I mean, they're going to be. We've seen videos from the International Space Station, which let's all ask ourselves a question: why, with all the technology that we have available and as much money as we spend on that thing, we've got the shittiest, pardon me, but low def cameras attached to this thing that there can possibly be.
Yeah,
there's a reason for that, because they don't want us to see high def images of what's really flying on around this thing.
No, they've got the high def images. We're just getting the ones that are from the freaking iPhones and other stuff that
the feeds that they have, that the cameras that they're giving us to feed from are just junk cameras. It's a known thing. I mean, they're horribly out of date.
Yeah. I mean, listen to this quote from the former chief of staff of the United States Air Force. This flying saucer situation is not all imaginary or seeing too much in some natural phenomena. Something is really flying around. The phenomena is something real and not visionary or fictitious. So this goes back a while. Again, it's just taken everyone else to just freaking wake up and, take off their tinfoil hats and actually realize the people with the tinfoil hats are the ones who actually kind of were trying to get people to listen a long time ago.
Sure.
We love your tinfoil hat, Thomas. Very creative.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Mouse would be proud.
You got to have fun with it.
Hopefully we're not going to get sued by Disney tonight.
Oh, hell no. It's just it is actually something I bought at the store. And all I did is got to have fun with it. Let's go on to the next one here. This is something that was covered back in 2015 that Jeremy McGowan went and covered. It's great to see that, yes, some of the things that people thought looked like a really cool UFO that looked too good to be a UFO. Well, it was another balloon. Last week we had a kite. This time, this is going back to 2015, but at least the information's coming out. And some of these old UFOs that were hoaxes that people tried to get out there or didn't identify that it was something that was theirs, at least we know. So this is just more an education for me.
Another debunk on UFO Man.
That's absolutely. Right. This was a quote from Alien Girl. She had said earlier today, these times are so crazy. However, there is a coherent school of thought that believes these videos confirmed by the government are just preparation for the false flag alien invasion. Now, my reply to that was, well, in the last 6 months, which I've been talking to Tim and Tommy about on this one, there's been an increase in the quantity of sightings with multiple UAPs, that's 3+, maneuvering in a tactical V formations over major metropolitan areas around the world. The numbers have also been increasing, 6+ at a time. It's trending upwards, and it's concerning. With the upward trend, how long before we see 10, 20, 30, etc.? Reporting points towards a sizable on-planet ET civilization, most likely at the bottom of the oceans. The question is, why the escalation? Is this why why they're starting to talk about UFOs? Because something bigger is going on and they're not telling us. What do you think, Tommy?
Absolutely. I mean, it can't be anything else at this point. I mean, obviously they're trying to hodgepodge and tiptoe around the subject here. It is what it is, and it's right there for everybody to see if you're really paying attention to this. Again, I think that they're releasing small bits and pieces of disclosure, almost trying to condition us for the big picture. Maybe, I don't know. Hard to say. Then again, maybe it's all deception and a ruse, and the United States government, let's be honest, are capable of anything. I don't know, man. I think that I don't know. What are your thoughts on this one, Tim?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I really don't have any comments on it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's one of those
so much disinformation out there. It's really hard to focus on the facts.
Yeah. And that's what I'm just trying to do.
I do believe that there is a pre-existing civilization here on Earth that has been there for some time.
Well, there's never been a great explanation for why we have uranium buried in the ground, things like that. Why that's naturally here. There's never been a great scientific reason for that. I mean, there's some theories, but who knows?
Well, there is a video out there on YouTube somewhere. I can't bring it up right now, but it mentions the fact that the great apes had 16 base pairs of DNA strands. And humans only have 14. And the ancient Anunnaki that came to this planet allegedly back in the time of Sumer only had 14 base pairs. So we actually have a tie-in to an alien civilization through that fact. It's more likely that we're directly related to them than we are to great apes. So that kind of throws into question the idea of evolution.
Well, there's your missing link.
Yes.
Yeah, curly Q link.
And we will talk about that tomorrow night as well.
Yeah. That's a great conversation. It all ties back into the ancient Sumerians and everything. Let's go on to the next one here. We're talking about giant UFOs, right? Coming out of our oceans or freshwater lakes, which are basically freshwater oceans. This is an alien base in Ohio, USA, under Lake Erie. Strange events, and there's a video. Don't have the video today. We'll have this soon. But just want to reinforce that, yes, Renee and everybody else, big ships under big bodies of water generally means lots of things down there to keep those things going and keep it working and to build them and everything else. So, yeah.
Well, think of supply lines. I mean, you either have a supply line that's, a galaxy long, or you have a supply line that you're actually harvesting from where your environment is.
Yeah. We're not seeing these things coming and going from our planet because they're already here. Ding dong.
Nanine is asking what time tomorrow night. Our live stream tomorrow night is at the same time as it was tonight, Nanine. It'll be at 8 p.m. Central Time, so 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Nick Madrid. This is just a great reinforcement really quick. Former CIA directors John Ratcliffe, John Brennan, and James Woodsley all allude that unidentified aerial phenomenon is not American technology. Now what? So we've got 3 former directors of the CIA all lining up to basically say, yeah, we've known about this shit. It's real. And this is our chief spies. There you go. So
can't hear you, Tommy. You're muted.
Sorry. Ratcliffe said something a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so. He came out, I think it was on Tucker Carlson, if I'm not mistaken, or Fox News. Anyway, he dropped some things that were just mind-blowing, and I guess the public, because it's Fox News or whatever, went right over their heads. He's talking about, there's a lot of these sightings. Yeah, we've got them on every kind of imaging device we have, radar, We're talking satellite photos, the whole 9 yards. And there's going to be a lot more of them come out that, we've had these sightings. And it was jaw dropping. I mean, it was like the most disclosure, in my opinion, that I've seen probably in my lifetime. And it came out of Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
Right.
At least it steps forward.
Mm-hmm.
At least people of authority are coming clean.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's becoming more acceptable. It's no longer as taboo as it was, let's say, even 10 years ago. I mean, now you can actually talk about this without people looking at you like you're crazy or like there's something wrong with you or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. That's why we're getting more pilots talking. We spoke with Ted, was it last week? We have more pilots coming forward. In fact, just to give you a quick announcement, folks, we do have a new website coming online. It's not ready for prime time yet, let's say, but we do have something, a way for you to actually go on there. You can report, give us sighting reports, things like that. Contact us. And we also want to talk to the transportation industry. And that means anybody in the transportation industry, whether you're a trucker, whether you're a bus driver, whether you're an airline pilot, or you work on, let's say, I don't know, the railroad, whatever. If you're seeing the weird things out there that everyone else is seeing, we want to hear from it. In fact, we're even
cab drivers, any of you.
Cab drivers, another great one. In fact, we're even going to provide those folks with a toll-free number to give us a call and report them for us.
Awesome. Great idea, Tommy.
Yeah, and we're also looking for like emergency crew workers, essential workers that are out with ambulance crews, police officers, anyone who wants to make a UFO report. They can come and do it at UFOManNetwork.com.
Now, there is another thing that I don't know if I'm authorized to talk about it yet, but Tim and I have been actually thinking about this and talking about it. We're going to go ahead and create a kit, an investigator kit for our audience members out there. And for just a few dollars, you folks can actually purchase an investigative kit that will give you the forms and everything else and other equipment that you need to properly document a UFO sighting. Very similar to what other
MUFON does.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we going to use a hat too?
The hat comes with it, of course. But that's the upper tier.
We're talking about a hat and maybe an identification badge that you can carry with you in the field that identifies you as a UFO Man field investigator. So you would be working or representing the channel when you go out and do your investigations.
That's right. You're working for this channel at that point. You're part of the media. And we'll give you all the details on how to actually document a sighting, the who, what, where, when, and why, all that stuff. We'll lay that out for you in a very easy format. Again, we're just talking about pennies really to pull this off. But we want it to involve our audience more than we have in the past. And I think this is one of the ways to do it. You folks are out there seeing weird stuff just like we are. Okay. And if you have the means to document that properly and transmit that report to us, that helps you, us, and of course the cause.
Yeah, we want to create a database that is new sightings, not the sightings from Project Blue Book that we keep rehashing over and over and over again. We want the new sightings that you see on a daily basis when you're driving to work or you're going to the store or you're just going out back in your backyard for a cigarette or something.
Sure.
We want to hear from you.
Yep. Always remember to take with your phone and go outside at night. I've already missed 2 UFOs in the last 6 months, so got to enjoy them, but I didn't get to share them.
And again, whatever phone that you're rocking in your pocket, I promise there's 50 different videos out there on YouTube that'll teach you how to use that bad boy.
Yeah,
I suggest you do that.
Yeah.
I have to say this. JS Tona 76 Ghost Town said, I'm going to tinfoil my daughter's Dumbledore hat.
Nice.
That sounds like a great idea. Okay.
Ready to continue?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's bring the next one back. This will be a fun one to talk about. I just have to. Okay, here we go. All right. So we've all talked about Greer in the past, and we all love him greatly. He's a beauty. So this is something that just blew my mind when I saw this on Twitter, and I have to share it. Anyone want to be Greer's friend for $10,000 or more per person? That's or more. Event attendance plus a dinner with other major donors and Dr. Greer at the private residence.
Okay. Is Jesus and Elvis opening for him? That's all I want to know. Because I mean, I'm for 10 grand, it's going to have to be Jesus, Elvis, everybody.
I mean, it's urgent breaking news.
He's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Personally, I think like what we discussed earlier, Thomas, he's become more like a televangelist.
Yes. He used to have, he's trying to spin the words of faith. But once again, he's not dealing with singles. He's dealing with stacks of $100 bills. $10,000. Holy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were all upset about him charging what, $2,200
$28
per person,
about $3,000. Yeah,
to go out in the field and sit in a circle and channel UFO sightings.
Well, if people are spending $500,000 on these little digital trinkets, apparently there's a lot of people out there with too much money, and he's more than happy to take it. It looks like so.
Yeah, personally, I don't know what to think. That's all I'm going to say.
I got you. This is not even. This is not Dr. Stephen M. Greer. Can I just show up at the house since I know where it is? Well, good idea, Linda. If the guy has irrefutable proof, why would he make people pay for it? In comparison, Brandon Frugal shares his findings for $0. Making people pay for information makes you look like a used car salesman.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just lots of, there's a lot of people, fun stuff on Twitter, folks. Got to join the conversation. Well, let's go on to the next one. This one was really good. This is a post-disclosure world. A lot of people call me UFO Jesus, including Jules, if she's still here. Sometimes he says, okay, I see UAP as wildlife, animals, if you will. They may be many more times intelligent than us, but ultimately they are occupying our airspace and seas because that's just what they do. Being the person that I am, I couldn't resist not replying back to it, which I said, you mean their seas and their airspace? It won't be much longer before we start seeing, like I said before, 1023, it's that broken record again. So it's kind of that, it's not our airspace or our waters. Clearly, they've got the force and the ships that are big enough, and they do what they want. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, clearly, they're impervious to anything that we have in terms of military technology, things of that nature. There have always been rumors that we brought down Roswell flying saucers with some sort of a radar. I don't know if I've ever really believed that one or not. I know a lot of people do. That being said, I mean, you're talking about a craft that can, again, we've been talking about all night, they can go into space. They can jump out of space through the atmosphere in a matter of seconds and be 10 feet over the sea level, seawater. They can actually even dive down and really lose no momentum or anything like that. We don't have any technology that can even compare to that. There's nothing, and the fact that this is actually happening, the military has come out at this point and they're admitting that they're seeing things out there that they can't explain either. It just gives you all the evidence you need right there that there's something more going on here, folks.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of oceanic activity. So
absolutely. What do you think, Tim? Are you going to put back to me?
Yeah, I'm going back to you for this. Go ahead. Follow through with this tweet.
I'm almost done with my stuff. These ones are going to go really quick. Remember we talked about Dr. Salvatore Pais and his UFO patents, and one of the things they had was a fusion reactor the size of a shipping container. Remember that size. This is the first of 9 13.8 meter high vacuum vessel sectors, basically to go inside of the new toroidal field coils and the thermal shield panels for the Tomac fusion reactor that they're building in, I believe, Europe. It's huge. I mean, it's on a huge scale, 13.8 meters high. Now, this is the first big commercial one that they're building, but we already have the plans and the ability to create one that's the size of a shipping container. So that's about 100 years. That's where we should be. And the new stuff we got is just way the heck out there. And I'm glad we got it.
Yeah, way ahead of
they don't.
Way ahead of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead and show those. Yeah.
This one's cool. Now, we've all talked about, the ancient civilizations we have here. We've got these, basically they've got a race of beings that have an extended head. It looks like a cross between an alien and a human. that they're all over Peru. They're in Eastern Europe. They're all, different. They were down in what do you call it? They're down over in the ocean down by Spain. So they're all over the place, or by Greece. So there's all these different places that they've been at. Now, this is a person who got in a battle and got his head crushed in, or he fell. And they put in a metal plate.
They sure did.
And the next picture we've got is, this is also coming from the ancient stone language. Great guy, Twisted It Dead 1. Here's another one where they actually went in to perform surgery. And then they came back and they put in some kind of metal plate in there to go ahead and replace it, because you can see how they actually went and cut through the bone to go ahead and do brain surgery. So aliens, yeah, they've been here. This is the story that's we really need to answer, because I think this is our smoking gun for biological material of a cross, what they call it, a hybrid race between aliens and Homo sapien. It's pretty close to it.
Very well could be. I mean, how did they have the technology back then to do that type of surgery, and what type of materials did they use that wouldn't be rejected by the human body? I mean,
exactly.
That would be the hard part.
This is like thousands of years old, probably 2,000-3,000 years old at least. So it's kind of like, why do we not know about all that stuff? What happened when the conquistadors and all the stuff went through that part of Spain and they burned all the history, or they took the books and they shipped it back to the Vatican Library that's like a mile long in these, what do you call it, temperature and humidity controlled, caverns that they built to amass all this information? Share it. We'd like to know.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. Almost done here. Talking about megalithic stings out in the base, in our past history. What just kind of got me was this picture here. Those blocks weigh 70 tons or more. So here's the question. We can't move them now. But look, there's a huge, big, place made out of it again. Again, stuff that was in our past that we can't explain, just like we can't explain the UFOs we've got today. Just another.
I actually heard those big blocks were moved by using sound technology.
Could be.
We do not understand currently at our current level of technology, but they are understanding that sound can do so many more things than just make a noise.
Look at the one on the left. Look at the actual angled cuts, and everything is nice and clear. And I mean, that's like Tetris. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the engineering that went into that right there, we'd have to actually use computers for right now to pull that kind of thing right off.
Exactly. I mean, even the size of these, this has the same kind of cuts going on it as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's not exactly just UFOs and aliens. There's a lot of, ancient stuff on the planet that's unexplained that really probably does have links on this to a degree. Maybe these are the places they were at before they went under the oceans. We don't know. And just a couple more examples. Rocks that have been melted, literally. These channels that were gone and basically put into the water into there for irrigation, or like a little pond thing that they were having to go ahead and just have the water go through the area. The rock was melted for that stuff to come out of it. We can't do that today, but they're using it in an artistic way to go ahead and create this stuff. So it's just, amazing. Our ancient history is just amazing. Now, is that it? Yeah, this is the last one I've got. And this is kind of cute. This is kind of what I came to this one and said, why are humans so afraid of aliens? Perhaps it could be the same instinct as to why this dog is afraid of Darth Vader. Oops.
Mute your sound.
Yeah, so I'm going to mute the sound so we're not going to get in trouble. So we're going to get dun, dun, dun. Check out all the dogs reacting to it. Mm-hmm. First time you've seen Darth Vader. Where is the princess?
Wow.
Where is the dog?
Exactly.
Is he a Dalmatian? A good Dalmatian been on the screen.
Exactly. So had to share this. That was just the last piece of stuff that I ran into on Twitter today, and I thought it would be a great way to segue back away from this and on something nice, warm, and fuzzy. Everybody loves puppies.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you can bring everybody back up. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. Okay, Tommy, let's go into your segment.
Fantastic, folks. I have an oldie but a goodie here. This is a huge sighting. This is very famous. It has been documented. It has been researched. You name it. Let me go ahead and read it to you here, and then I'll show a video, and you can actually hear it from the actual participants or the experiencers, I should say, themselves. On the night of October 11th, 1973, 42-year-old Charlie Hickson and 19-year-old Calvin Parker Jr. were out fishing after work. The two co-workers were at a pier near the west bank of the Pascagoula. I'm sorry, I live there. I should know this. Pascagoula River in the Mississippi. When they saw two flashing blue lights reflecting off the water, the men thought the lights were from an approaching police officer who had come to remove them from the property. In other words, they were fishing where they shouldn't have been. But then out of nowhere, an oval-shaped object appeared in the sky along with two flashing blue lights. They said they heard a loud whizzing and a whirling sound coming from the strange craft above them. It was 34 feet across and 8 to 10 feet off the ground. This is not really written well. When a blinding light appeared and the men heard a hissing sound, and the three legless creatures floated down from the craft. Charles and Calvin were conscious but paralyzed. As the beings approached them, the three aliens had leather-like gray skin and crab-like claws. The men were grabbed by their arms and led aboard the craft, and they were examined thoroughly by something that looked like a floating eye. The beings took their time. They moved and acted more like robots than beings. Once the examinations were complete, the men were returned to the pier, and the strange craft was nowhere to be found. So all of a sudden, they're standing there during the daytime, during the daytime and all that, fishing and whatever. They see these blue lights, and all of a sudden, boom, they're like a flash of light, and these aliens, these creatures come down and grab these guys and lead them into the craft. Let's see here. Okay, where did I go here? Okay, Charles and Calvin were terrified. They took some time to compose themselves before deciding whether to report what had happened to the police. Charles needed 3 shots of whiskey to calm his nerves before he could even leave the pier. The men arrived at Jackson County Sheriff's Office at 10:30 p.m. that night. They came in so panicked and frightened by what had happened that the sheriff thought that they had gotten spooked after a little too much drinking while fishing. In other words, his first reaction as a sheriff was to think, okay, a couple of good old boys, out there fishing or whatever, right? Okay, so and again, this is such a famous thing, and the interview is just amazing here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm sorry, folks, I lost my place here. Bear with me. Okay. The only evidence that they had were men telling them that the men were telling the truth were the catfish they had brought with them that they had caught earlier that evening. So in other words, they had the fish to say they were there. The sheriff brought the men into the back room and asked them questions about the night to take their statements. Charles and Calvin's story was so fantastic that the sheriff left the men alone in the room, which he had hidden recording device. To the sheriff's surprise, the men did not stop talking about what had just happened and what they had seen that night and how scared they were. So in other words, the cops, being the cops, they had a recording device in the room, and you have to understand this is 73, so this is probably a pretty modern, police station at that point. But they're listening to these guys to see if they can corroborate the story, and I'll be damned if they didn't do it. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and play the video here. Tim, you want to go ahead and put me up?
I got the video if you want me to.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and go for it.
I got it queued and ready to go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
Are we alone? Is Earth really the only planet with life, or is something else out there? Here's investigative reporter Shelby Myers with a story that just might make you rethink everything.
It's been a debate for decades. Are aliens out there, and have they ever made contact with us? After 45 years of keeping it a secret from his own family, a Gulf Coast man's declining health has given him a reason to write a book and leave his legacy. Calvin Parker is now ready to tell the story of the event that would change his life forever.
Do you ever get any feelings or flashbacks when you come out here?
No, it's changed. It's hard to feel anything when you come out here.
What do you think about the whole experience? Think it happened?
I think something happened down there. I'm not at all sure what happened.
Something happened to him, the way they were upset. You don't fake fear. You know, he was scared. He was scared out of his mind.
In 1973, Calvin Parker was 19, a hard worker who just wanted to build a home and raise a family. But those plans would be derailed during a fishing trip in Pascagoula.
A real bright beam appeared all over us, but it kind of blinded me for a second. And when I got my vision back, I seen three bulky looking creatures coming toward us.
Parker will tell you, because of this night, he spent the last 45 years in hiding, scared to face the curious and unrelenting public eye.
We'd get up and go to work in the morning. Nobody would never know, and they won't make us out to be idiots.
But after suffering a stroke and having 2 open heart surgeries, in a rare interview, Parker is recounting to me the night that changed his life.
We pulled up, and I noticed there was posted signs there. And I said, Charlie, you know, maybe we don't need to go fishing here. He said, no, that's fine. And that's when I noticed some blue hazy lights reflecting coming across from my back, out across the water. So I stood up thinking that I was going to go to jail for trespassing.
Just north of where Ingalls Shipyard now sits, Parker and his fishing buddy, 42-year-old Charles Hickson, would do anything but fish that night.
I seen 3 bulky looking creatures coming toward us, and they was probably 4.5, 5 foot tall, built like football players. I noticed they kind of moved mechanical wise, and they was floating off the ground. By the time we stood up and turned around, they was there on us all at one time. So 2 of them got a hold of Charlie, 1 of them got a hold of myself, and instantly I felt like that I just got relaxed.
Parker claims he and Hickson were levitated into the spacecraft.
There was an examination room, what I call it. And the old big ugly creature that brought me in, he took me and laid me on the examination table. And he just backed up out of the way. I couldn't move or anything. All I could do was look. And there was something about the size of a deck of cards that came out of the ceiling, and it hovered about a foot in front of my eyes. And then it went to the right side of my head, and it clicked. Went behind my head, and it clicked. Went to the left side of my head and clicked. And then straight to the front, and then it shot back up in the ceiling. And that's when I noticed some kind of little ruffling noise, and this more feminine looking creature came out. She looked completely different than the what I call the robot, because he moved like a robot, just mechanical wise. She looked kind of feminine looking and had fingers, regular fingers and all, come over and pinched me on side the cheek. And then she took her finger and run down my throat and got behind that little thing that hangs down back there and tried to come up in my nasal cavity. And that was when it started hurting and I started choking and I got scared. And she just kind of telepathically told me, you know, don't be afraid, we're not going to hurt you.
And with those words, Parker says the aliens dropped he and Hickson back off on the bank. Frozen in fear, Parker didn't want to let anyone know what happened. Hickson, however, said they had to tell somebody, so they called the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
And I said, could I help you? He said, yeah, I've had something happen, but said, you gonna laugh if I tell you what it is. I said, look, fella, go ahead and tell me, I'm busy. What happened? He said, I got picked up by a UFO. I laughed. He said, I told you it's going to last.
Still, former Jackson County Captain Glenn Ryder told the men to come into the station.
Jackson County deputies had two choices that night. They could choose to believe Parker and Hickson had really been taken from the banks of the Pascagoula River like they said, or they could figure out if they were lying. So deputies stuck a secret tape recorder inside an interrogation room back at the station. And it's what they heard on those tapes that made them believe the two were not lying.
They were upset. I figured they'd say, well, look, we got these guys food, but it wasn't that. They were still. The boy especially was upset.
The men would take lie detector tests and pass. Ufologists and researchers flew in right away to interview and hypnotize the two, concluding they did experience something traumatic. The two were even sent to Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi to make sure they weren't radioactive.
It's a circus, media circus.
Within days, the story went global. After the two were checked out, former WALA TV reporter Rennie Brabner caught up with them.
Up at the emergency room door, there's a line of sheriff's cars out there. We went in with our cameras going, and at least for the first time saw the two guys.
Brabner says to this day, it's still something viewers never seem to forget.
There's a reasonable chance that they'll say, wait a minute, didn't you cover those guys getting on the UFO? What do you think? Most of the stories you do, they're gone tomorrow or the next day or whenever. And it's always intrigued me a little bit that had some legs, some interest, particularly years and years and years later.
Like Captain Ryder, Brabner too believes something happened that night, but he isn't sure what.
I do not think they made it up in the sense that they created it out of whole cloth. I have been told that particularly Hickson was known to take a drink. Was it at the bottom of a bottle of John Barleycorn? I don't know.
Charles Hickson wrote a book on his encounter and spoke numerous times about it. He passed away in 2011. Parker says he's a religious man and believes there's an explanation why he went through what he did. For now, he still ponders why it happened to him.
You can't really pin everything down. You don't really know. And that's the point I'm holding now. I don't know what happened. I know something happened.
Famous story. It's been around forever. There was a movie back in the mid-'70s, I would say, an actual feature film about UFOs. I remember seeing it at the drive-in with my parents. This story was a part of it, and there was also the Iranian fighter jet story from back in the day. That was a part of it. I can't remember the title of it. I'll have to get that. But
General Jafari of the Iranian Air Force.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these guys have been telling the same story. I mean, from the time it happened until the day they died, and well, till the day one of them died. And this guy is, let's be honest, he's an older gentleman. He's not going to be around a lot longer. And we see that a lot in ufology, where we see a lot of, let's say, deathbed, or let's say near deathbed confessions. Clifford Stone made a very interesting statement before his death that he recorded a video. I'm not a big fan of his, but that was an interesting one. Everybody. I mean, there have been so many CIA officers that were in the know about the UFO subject have actually, again, on their deathbed, they've basically come out and made a confession. Tim, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think when their NDAs run out, when they get to a certain age, they're coming clean. So, I agree with you, Tommy.
Yeah. I mean, why not at that point? I mean, you've got, what's the gentleman, why can't I think of his name right now? The general, who am I talking about, Kent? The general.
Which general? There's quite a few.
Yeah, the one that was at Roswell, and he was the nuclear base commander. Philip Corso. Philip Corso.
Oh, Corso, yeah.
Philip Corso is another one. I mean, the guy had no reason to come out after, he in the later stages of his life and make these just, outlandish claims and potentially tarnish an otherwise perfect military career. Why would he do such a thing? Unless there was something to it. and I think that's the point of it all.
Right. Okay, we have another story about a deputy sheriff sighting a UFO that hits his patrol car in Marshall County, Minnesota. Trace evidence left behind. We have a video that we're going to play first, and then we have some commentary afterwards. So let's do that. All righty. Here we go.
It's one thing for a place to stand out for its extra kindness or extra comfort. In Marshall County, it's the prospect of an extraterrestrial that's drawn worldwide attention.
What he saw was a bright object, maybe like a foot diameter, about 3.5 feet off the ground.
It was along a rural highway on August 27th, 1979, in the middle of the night. Marshall County Deputy Val Johnson was alone on patrol.
As he explained it in the news reports, what was there all of a sudden was here. So the light just shot at him and it, like engulfed his car in light and blinded him.
36 years later, the deputy's squad car is still what brings most people in to the Marshall County Museum.
And then, of course, the windshield is broken, something you can see where it hit.
Herb Morstead was a fellow deputy at the time, at a loss to explain the antennas warped in different directions, the broken headlight, and the dented hood.
Whatever happened, there was evidence.
The dashboard clock stopped for 14 minutes, as did Deputy Johnson's watch, before starting up again.
You can see that it wasn't Val Johnson's head, for example, that hit there, because it's in the wrong place.
Too low.
Yeah,
Right.
way too low.
Doesn't mean it's outer space. It's just an unidentified flying object hit it, and it just hasn't been explained, so it's unidentified.
Deputy Johnson was treated for welder-type burns to his eyes.
Just didn't seem to be any airplane out way faster than something like that.
His supervisor at the time was Sheriff Dennis Brecky.
We do believe that our deputy had an encounter with something that we haven't been able to explain yet on this date, and there's a lot of interest because of that.
The internet has brought about new interest over the past several years. Conspiracy theorists are still trying to solve what law enforcement, mechanical inspectors, and the Center for UFO Studies could not.
I don't know what happened. I know in my own mind I did the best job we could with me and my department to investigate and find out what went on, and all we found out is we don't know.
Do you believe in UFOs?
Yeah, I kind of do. There's got to be something more than us around.
Now, as for Deputy Val Johnson, he is now retired and living in western Wisconsin. I reached him by phone, and he said there's already so much information out there, he really prefers not to talk about this anymore. The museum housing the squad car is in the town of Warren, Minnesota. It's closed for the season, but they'll let people in by appointment. For more information, go to wcco.com/links.
Now, there's actually a little bit more to the story than was covered in this news broadcast. And if I'm not mistaken, this story actually appeared on Unsolved Mysteries way back in the day.
Yep.
All right. Now, they pulled some residue off of this vehicle. All right. And, and I love slime. I love physical evidence. What can I say? I love it. And they pulled some physical evidence off this that appeared to be, once analyzed, something of a cellulose material. In other words, something that you'd get from an organic source like a tree or a bush or something like that. All right. But the problem with that is that trees and bushes don't usually hang out in the middle of the road. And when they hit something, they don't usually bounce off. So we've got two of those things going on here. The other thing is that the testimony of the officer himself, when you go, and again, to reference the Unsolved Mysteries segment, they actually spoke with this man, and he's very credible, very believable. He's like, listen, this is very matter of fact. This is what happened to me. This is what, this is what I saw. Flash of light, boom, something hit the vehicle. And, you can kind of take it from there. But again, this is one of those things that, look at the damage to the vehicle. That's not an animal. There's no blood. There's no anything like that on there. What else could it be? It's not a bush. It's not an animal. So how can it be organic, have organic compounds or have organic properties, yet not be something organic that we know about? Tim?
Right. It was said that the officer mentioned after this happened to his squad car, he mentioned that he saw a saucer shape when it hit his vehicle, but it was a smaller saucer. It wasn't like a large saucer like we're accustomed to seeing or to talking about on this channel, but it was a larger saucer, a small saucer like a drone that hit his windshield. Now, this was before commercial drones that we have created have even been around.
Goodness, yes. Decades before.
Yeah.
And there's the squad car in the museum.
Yeah.
And it was a significant event. Enough of a significant event for this sheriff's department that they actually pulled this vehicle, this serial number, out of their inventory and stored it somewhere instead of just repairing it and move on with their lives. Now, why would they have done that?
It was significant, Tommy.
Yeah, I think they wanted to show that, hey, we have credible evidence that has not been removed by the federal government.
Yeah, but I'm sure they took the cellulose material that was some kind of life form, and they took that away because hopefully, if they would have kept that in a freezer somewhere, it could have been analyzed. We can find out what the heck this stuff is, but it's kind of like, the end of Indiana Jones, when you see the Ark of the Covenant being taken back into this huge, just giant, endless warehouse.
Stuck in a box. Yeah.
And there have to be warehouses after warehouses after warehouses filled with UFO debris.
Or like in the TV show X-Files, where they put the stuff in a little vial and then they put a cap on it and then they put it in a box and shove it on a shelf at this huge warehouse. Yeah.
One thing I can tell you with beyond any shadow of a doubt, knowing how, being a former government employee, knowing how budgets work and things like that, or at least having a basic idea, a redneck sheriff's department is not going to pull a perfectly good vehicle out of their inventory if it just hit Bambi. I mean, that's not going to happen. They're going to send it to the body shop. It's going to be out there in 2 weeks doing its job. They're not going to put it in a warehouse. I'm sorry. There's something unique happened here, or we would not have the car to this day. It'd be a crushed cube somewhere.
Right.
Absolutely. And they took it out, out of use right after it happened. They could have just replaced the windshield and put the thing back in, but they knew it was something of significance. And they just wanted
I kind of think that maybe the federal government probably thought, well, we can blow it off as maybe a tree limb hitting the car or somebody threw a rock, and they could debunk it that way. And then people wouldn't believe that it was something extraterrestrial or off-world or unknown, because the deputy said he saw a disc. So if he saw a disc flying at him, then I have to take his word for it because I wasn't there. And he's never changed his story.
Yeah.
And to this day, he's remained credible. He's passed all lie detector tests. It is a valid encounter.
Yep. Again, even went on to Unsolved Mysteries. I mean, so not that that's the most credible thing in the world, but I mean, Robert Stack was known not to, he was personally involved in that show. I just read this recently, as a matter of fact. He was not only personally involved in the show, he was basically the producer. He decided what stories flew and what stories didn't fly on the show. And apparently he picked this one.
Yeah.
It's apparently, because again, it's physical evidence. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think, Thomas?
It's a goodie, but an oldie. There's evidence there still today. The person went and made some, amazing accountings of what happened. I can't go ahead and argue or find a thing to go ahead to try and find to discredit the guy because it happened. There's evidence it happened. We've got a great accounting from a person who is used to making reports all the time and accurately documenting the truth in every police report that he put together. Putting down the facts. What's the old saying? Just the facts, man.
Yep.
Guy's a professional observer.
Yeah. Let's add it to the catalog of all the UFOs, of all the accounting of UFOs, where people have basically tried to take the people and tell them they're crackpots or different stuff and try and discount for what it is. It's great that at the time that these kind of things can document what really has happened and what people have been through.
Right. Okay. everyone in the chat, everyone that's participating online, we want to remind you that tomorrow night, Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have the pleasure of introducing you to Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot. She will be appearing on the UFO Man channel, and we will be interviewing her. So if you have any questions, get them ready beforehand, because we will be doing a question and answer session with Carrie Cassidy.
Yeah.
She is a very talented investigative reporter and has been in the field of ufology and fringe science for many, many years.
Yeah. You guys
She's
are really
over 16 years. So
yeah,
she's definitely somebody.
And the audience has been really great as far as when we had Ted here last week and went over the interviews. Now, if any of the people who are with us today didn't see the interview of Ted Rowe from last week, you
yeah,
gotta
check
watch
it out.
this.
Check out Ted Rowe.
It's
Yeah,
one of our best
Cap.
shows that I'll say that's the best show that I've been on since I've been here at UFO Man. The interview we had with him was eye-opening.
Yes, it was a very, very deep, informative interview with Ted Rowe from NARCAP. So if you want to check out NARCAP, go to www.narcap.org.
Yep.
And check out the site. He has so much information there about pilot sightings, both military and civilian. Check it out. And come back onto the chat room and let us know what you think on our next live stream.
Yeah, we hope to see you all there. I mean, tomorrow's, we've been asked to get, do a live stream for the people in the UK, and we've got this one tomorrow that's kind of right there for the perfect time for everyone in the UK and Europe and everywhere else. So we hope everyone can join us. And
well,
it's going to be
it's not really at the time zone for the UK, because we're starting at 8 p.m. Central Time. So that would be
that's
like
right. It's not 2
early. o'clock in the morning in the UK. So
sorry.
Whether you're in the UK or not, if you want to stay up for it, it's a great interview. She's a great personality, very engaging. Please come and join us. Tommy, any last comments?
I'll stick to this. Go ahead, Tommy.
Sorry, folks. Thanks for coming as always. Had a great show tonight. Very informative. Clearly we've got some, we've got things going on there, and again, we're all here to put our little piece of the puzzle together and get a bigger picture of it. So I want to thank Tim for having me. Thomas, a great job as always. Folks, we've got that big interview tomorrow. You're going to love that. Very interesting person. During the pre-interview, she was just fantastic. I'm sure you're going to love her. And again, thank you for coming.
Thomas.
All right. As usual, I want to thank everyone in the chat room. Julie Welchel just said, thanks, gentlemen. Well, thank you, Julie. Thank you for being here and coming. Zofa said, I'll stay up for that, LOL. Alper, I can't get your last name, Alper. Sorry. See you tomorrow then. Thank you. Good Day UK came from Rampage. Went off my screen already. I'm not wearing my glasses, so sorry. So we've had a lot of great people in the chat room. Thank you very much. Renee, Nini, Amanda B, Renee Cruz.
All the usual suspects.
Prudentially at home, again, you make a show, we're here for you. We're here to spread the word, and we're glad you could come and join us this evening. And it's been my honor to, try and share additional information and just try and, hit it home for everybody. Thanks. And then thank you, Tommy, and UFO Man Tim as well. Tim?
You're more than welcome. Yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat room and everyone who participated online. We really appreciate you coming here every week at 8 o'clock Central Time. We intend to try to, like Tommy said, do a UK friendly live stream in the future. We will try to schedule that and get that going. We have a lot of pots in the fire, so to speak. We're working on the new website. And as you can see, we're all green screening now. So that's a big improvement. Thanks to Thomas and his instructions. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
And we hope to present better and higher quality entertainment for your time.
Oh.
So thanks again for coming, and good night.
Good night, everybody.